John?
I don't know, are you froze, John, or can you hear us?
Now I can hear you.
Good. Do you want to lead the meeting or anything, or do you want me to just go through all the stuff that I have here to get through?
I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, you keep cutting out a little bit.
Well, hey, I'll just listen. If I have something important to say, I'll shout.
Okay. Sounds good. We don't have any public
Okay.
except for our new director of planning. Ooh. Dave, do you want to introduce yourself to the Urban Forest Committee? You remember Kathy, she helped us get our vision statement kicked off and things, and so this is our new planning director, Dave Forrest.
I'm not sure I have much to add beyond that. I'm Dave Forrest, your new planning director. I've already had a chance to work with Sarah on a couple things, including a grant that you're applying for. I don't know if we're going to talk about that.
We are going to talk about that.
Sorry, but looking forward to working with you as needed and continuing to work with Sarah.
Yeah, we still want to do a community urban forest plan. So it would be nice to work with the planning department on that. All right. Well, the first thing that we have to decide is agree on these dates for 2023 because they want to advertise our meeting. And so,
Here, I have one.
oh, okay. I don't know if these would be with respect to Wednesday. But we talked about changing the time to noon to 1 p.m. And also, I didn't know if you wanted to change it to a Tuesday or Thursday or keep it a Wednesday. I mean, we've all just been emailing each other back and forth. It doesn't matter to me. It's up to the committee.
Right. I just want to double check what Steph had said she was available for.
Because I know like Armando and Mark and probably Steph, anytime during the day is inconvenient because they're running a business and Steph's at school, so I don't know which day or times are better for them.
Right.
So I know for sure that we wanted to change it to 12, so we can definitely make that change. And then I guess we have to decide if we want to keep it the fourth Wednesday or switch it to a Tuesday or Thursday or a different day of the week.
Will it matter what's available for this conference room? Are there other committees that meet at that time, perhaps?
I don't know. We need to pick a date that works for us more, and then we can try, if it doesn't work, then we can try to figure something else out.
Okay. Steph said that, let's see, at our August meeting, Sarah mentioned considering another time that might work better. It would be great to have everyone weigh in. I know for me, weekday lunch hour, anytime between 11:30 to 1:30, especially Tuesday through Thursday, is often available. So that would be lunchtime, or 11:30 to 1:30, not after lunch, which is like 2.
So noon on Wednesday.
Noon on Wednesday, or a different day, yeah, if that's better for anyone.
I like keeping it on Wednesday because I've sort of built my life around Wednesday.
Yeah, noon on Wednesday is much better for me than 2 o'clock.
What about you, Armando?
Oh, that'd be fine.
And you, Patty?
Yeah, I'll just put it on my calendar.
All right. What about you, John?
I'm good with that.
All right. Well, then we'll go for that. And we'll stick with the fourth Wednesday. The only day that's different is the November week. I moved it to the fifth Wednesday because nobody can come unless we want to cancel the November meeting altogether. I can't remember what we said.
I think we changed it from, the 23rd to the 30th.
Okay.
Correct?
For this year?
For this year, for next meeting.
That's, yes.
Yeah.
And then for 2023, the same thing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, last year we canceled it altogether.
Oh,
For
really?
this year, we're moving it to the fifth week. So I didn't know if you wanted to cancel it or move it. But I guess we can move it, and if we need to cancel it, we can always decide then.
Okay.
All right, so that's the only one that's not the fourth Wednesday. That would be the fifth Wednesday. Because that Thanksgiving week's so short.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here that Wednesday either.
Yeah, okay. All right, well then that works out good. And then, well, for old business, I didn't know if did we decide on the vision statement and vote on it last time, or were we still gonna look it over one more time? I have it
Last
here.
time, we did kind of go over it, but it was a small
We didn't
number of us
have
on
enough people to
Zoom.
vote on it, I don't think.
Right.
So I didn't know if we wanna vote on it, or if we wanna just wait, and it's not a need, but this is the vision statement that I put in the letter of support. The draft letter of support if you sign one for the grant application. So, it would be the top, and as I explained last time, the more times we use the words in all the other statements that we were compiling, the larger the font got or bolded and changed to green. It was like my own magical way of trying to make sense of them all. And so, and I'm pretty sure I did email it out and I didn't get any other comments about it, I don't think. Unless somebody has any additional comments, I mean, I think we should just vote on it so we have a vision statement and move on.
Yeah.
I think so too.
I move that we accept this vision statement as written.
All right.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Sorry, John. Thank you for putting that together, Sarah.
Sure. So do we need to vote? Then do we need to officially vote on it? All those in favor of accepting this as the mission statement, or the vision statement? Great.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right. 5-0. Good to go. All right. We're on a roll. Next. Then the grant that I have been working on, it is going to be a tree planting grant. I had emailed all of you about it. And I'm going to request funding to also do a tree inventory. And we are also going to have, some riparian buffer plantings. And we also, our goal is to install 3 native meadows as part of the project. The project will span over 4 years, and we don't have to have all the site locations and the meadow locations identified right at the time of the application. And so that's good, and so we can take part of the 4 years of the grant to establish them. And it's a pretty cool project because we also have quite a few partners. We're partnering with LEAF, the Lake Erie Arboretum at Frontier Park, and their relief program, our West Bayfront, the Borough of Northeast and the Northeast Shade Tree Commission, the Benedictine Sisters of Erie and their property out at Glenoto, and the City Redevelopment Authority. I'm hoping the Sisters of St. Joseph are gonna also be a part of it, and possibly BEST, the Bayfront Eastside Task Force, and also Mercyhurst University just replied today, and they also want to be a partner. So I told him it was just in the nick of time.
That's awesome.
And they already have installed 1 tiny forest, and he's hoping maybe they could talk him into a 2nd tiny forest, or maybe a meadow planting, but if not, definitely trees. And so it's pretty cool to be this grant application because you can combine all 3 projects into 1 application, and they want as many partners as possible. The bigger, the better. You can apply for grants from $50,000 to $5 million. So my goal was $3 million. We're probably only gonna get up to $500,000, but I'm still pretty excited about it. Cause it was like 480 some thousand, and I don't quite have everybody in yet and all the components.
That's awesome.
But it's due tomorrow.
Wow.
So
So
what,
can we help you
So-
finalize some things?
yeah, what were you gonna say, John?
I'm just asking if you have tiny forests in there.
Yes, Vern has mentioned that he is going to install at least 1, and Mercyhurst might consider a 2nd one. There's also possibilities to do one, like possibly in a city park or on redevelopment authority lot. The challenge with working with the redevelopment authority, though I forgot to mention this when I worked with them, is that they do want 25-year landowner agreements. So I don't know. And originally I thought, go on.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah, 25 years is a long time. That's why if we put it in a city park or a school, we don't need that because it's considered public property. But anything on private property needs a landowner agreement. So the way around that is if it's on public property. But the good news is we originally thought that we had to deal with at least a minimum of 1 acre in size, but that's just what they are hoping for. But you can do smaller sizes, and they strongly encourage that we submit for redevelopment authority properties and try to put some on like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different lots and explain, you know, that they're cumulative, and they're also, if they're in disadvantaged neighborhoods, then that's gives them a higher priority. Even though they're smaller, they understand the lot sizes are, you know, harder to come up with big lot sizes. So they were really, DCNR is very excited about it.
Okay, all right, good. I just want to make sure that tiny forests are an integral part of that project. Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, we just have to do the work to convince people to install them, John. Whether we want to focus on the schools with LEAF or, you know, maybe the housing authority. I haven't talked with them yet. I've been supposed to have a meeting with them for the last 2 months, and it's been rescheduled 4 times.
They're definitely open to having tiny forests, and they have several sites that qualify.
Yeah, so like I said, because we have 4 years to work it out, I'm just gonna commit to the 3 meadows, and then we can put in for 2 tiny forests since we definitely have 1. I don't know if you want to try to work for 3 or not. I don't mind putting it in.
I'd like to. Yeah, over 4 years. I'd like to go for at least 6 for over 4 years.
And how about 4, 1 a year?
I don't see. Are we asking for funding for
I think
specifically?
the funding for the tiny
you know,
forests
it's
are
the
maybe,
expense of the tiny forest.
I think the amounts we're asking for the tiny forests are like 4,000 a piece or something. And so it just multiplies
Okay,
out.
that's good.
It's just the part I would need
excellent.
help with is reaching out to partners to install them. Because we need, they
Don't
have
worry.
to either.
That's yeah. I'll do that.
Okay. Well, speaking of that, I need a commitment letter.
We've already talked. Yeah. Oh, you mean right in the next couple days?
Yeah, like by tomorrow. The grant's due tomorrow.
Like now.
So I emailed a draft commitment and a draft letter from the Urban Forest Committee. So we can either write a generic letter of support, just supporting the grant, or if we want to commit in-kind time. I was hoping you'd be willing to commit in-kind services to help me have like tree care workshops. I thought 2 the second year and then 4 the third year and 4 the fourth year. Or we could also put into help identifying site locations, like, because it takes a lot of going door to door and talking with property owners and asking them if they would like a tree. I originally had 300 trees in there, John, but I cut it down to 4 because I was thinking try to do most of the tree inventory the first year and then use the inventory to guide us for the plantings for years 2, 3, and 4. So that would be 100 trees over 3 years, including all the partners. So we can put it back up to 400 trees, but I really need help in identifying property owners because I don't have time by myself to go out and talk to 400 property owners. So so I don't mind putting in more trees, but I have to have the commitment of more people helping do that.
Okay. Well, sign me up.
Oh, do you want to say something? Dave, just join in. We're a pretty informal group. You can even come up here and sit with us. Come on up and sit with us.
I can't stay,
Just come up and sit with us.
I just had a question. small forest.
John, do you want to say the details of a tiny forest? You're the best at it.
Yeah, a tiny forest is basically a technique that can rapidly reestablish a forest on vacant land, and so it's either a reforest or an afforestation project that has very quick results. Depends on excavating relatively deep, deeper than not just digging holes, but actually digging up the soil and where we're planting the forest, down to a depth of about 3 feet, adding a lot of organic matter to that soil, and then planting the trees very close to one another and planting all the trees that will be in the forest all at once. So we plant a whole bunch of different species, the bushes, the mid canopy, and the canopy trees. You plant them all at once, 3 to a square meter, and the results are amazing. Within 3 years, you have what anybody would look at and say that's a forest. So it's a way to have very quick results, and of course it involves hundreds and hundreds of trees for each little forest, and not all of them are going to make it long term, but they sort themselves out over, kind of using nature to define what the forest ultimately be, depending on what species we plant. Of course, they're all natives.
A lot do these, or parcel do these tiny forests usually get planted on?
It's pretty small.
Yeah, I guess, imagine it's a tiny lot, right?
It can be as tiny. Yeah, it can be as tiny as you want. You can make them any size you want, as little as a city lot that's 20 by 100 feet. You can plant a forest on that.
Do you know what size the one is at Mercyhurst, John? Are you able to pull up that picture and share your screen? I don't know if you can or not.
I've got it on my phone.
Yeah.
Oh,
You got
show
it?
Mr. Forrest that picture. I can't find it
Here.
on my phone. If someone wants to.
This is a progress photo that we took, but this is, yeah.
So-
It's probably triple that size going.
That's
into
like
the
in about a
array.
year's time, isn't it?
What's that?
Is that about a year's time that it?
Oh, I see. I
reached
don't
that?
have a picture of it recently. This is more of a progress photo of the students working to show how many trees were.
But they're
Those
very
are all stakes.
Densely,
Yeah, very
they're
dense.
densely
They're-
planted,
yes.
but they grow extra fast because the soil's inoculated with the
Okay.
mycorrhizae.
Yeah.
And so then they grow way faster than a
And they're
normal tree
competing with
plantings
each
would.
other.
The one that John sent us was like a year's worth.
Yeah, is that the
And they
picture you
started
have?
as those little tiny twiglets. They
right?
barely you
A
could see
seedling.
over those little white
Two.
tubes that you've seen maybe around town.
So a thought is going through my head regarding, who's going to plant your trees and stuff like that. And we've got these
The
neighborhood.
larger balded burlap trees, I would contract out with a contractor,
Right.
but the smaller seedling projects, we can try to use volunteers and students and groups
Right.
to plant.
And
those.
there are neighborhood organizations, I'm not telling you anything you don't know already. I think it would be good to try to use some of those neighborhood organizations, depending on where you're planting and if there's a neighborhood organization where you're planting.
Right.
The other thing is that the redevelopment authority, as you probably aware, just got some proposals to do a greenway plan in the East Bayfront area. Are you guys aware of that?
What
Is
is
that the plan that the planning's also a part of?
Well,
The
yeah,
Higgins
but
grant?
evidently the redevelopment authority is taking the lead on this for reasons I don't understand that predate me. But it would
Well,
be.
you can brief, I don't know if they are or not, if you want to give a summary. I don't know.
No,
if
I'm not
everybody
giving a
is.
summary, I'm just saying that I don't know exactly what the scope of this is gonna be, but it's going to involve, knocking or demolishing blighted that gets designed.
Yeah, it'd be nice to put in some native meadows or even a tiny
Yeah.
forest.
So how do you propose that we become involved in that? By just attending the meetings?
Well,
We can ask Aaron to include us on the list.
I'm actually gonna touch base with Aaron Snippert, the redevelopment authority executive director, about the project this afternoon. It appears to anticipate a steering committee. I want to get a sense of, what his thoughts are on the steering committee. But that may be a vehicle right there. But I just think this seems like an exciting project, and your group ought to be somehow a part of that and have some input on it. So
Absolutely.
that's it.
Yeah, that would be great.
So don't let me forget.
Okay.
Okay.
We're counting on you, Sarah.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to leave.
All
All right, thanks Dave for coming. So John, what do you think about 300 trees? Do you want more than that, or what did we decide?
What, you mean,
I mean balled and burlap trees. Well, I'll up it to 4 tiny forests, and so that will increase the number of tree seedlings, but I was only gonna put in for 300 balled and burlap. Those would be like street trees in front of property owners' homes. I mean, what does the committee think? Are you willing to help go door to door for some of that, or what are you thinking?
That was one of the things that I've responded back to you today with your letters, which by the way were nice. Thank you for doing that. But I think we do need to identify who are the volunteer groups that can help us with this, both going door to door as well as the physical help of planting those trees, because this is a
Well, I would
committee.
contract out those trees to
Okay.
be planted
The
by a
large trees.
contractor.
Okay, all right.
Because they're 200-pound trees.
Yeah.
We can't do it.
No.
I just need help walking the streets and knocking
Yeah.
on people's doors saying, hey, would you like a tree? And then they go, no, I hate trees. Trees are messy and they make leaves and seeds. And then
Yeah.
you say, yeah, but they're beautiful and they help
Yeah.
cool your home and they absorb
Yeah.
stormwater runoff
Well,
and
and
blah,
I
blah,
think
blah.
that
And we love
could
trees.
even be a part of it, and you've probably already got it in there, is just some education about why trees are important, and it was in your letter about all of the different
Yeah.
benefits to
Yeah.
having trees.
The most effective way to do it, though, is to go door to door. Like, when I've sent out letters in the past, who wants a
Yeah.
tree, we don't get any
Yeah,
responses.
no, nobody reads mail.
And when I send out letters saying we're gonna plant a tree, unless you call and say you don't want one, then we get more responses. But then at the last minute, people will refuse the tree, and then we're scrambling to find sites. The best method that I have found is literally just going door to door and getting everybody to say that they want a tree. And if they do, like, normally we even get them to fill out a tree removal application, just so they're signing something saying, yes, they want the tree. And then we ask them to just help water it and keep it mulched. And so then one of the follow-up things that we can do as part of the project would be either send like reminder postcards or go back out door to door, and ask people saying, hey, remember to water your tree now that it's summer, and in the spring, oh, remember to put some new mulch down, or, those types of things. And then, like, I've told you before, some of the easy tree care workshops that I do are to just walk around with the neighborhood group and talk to everybody whoever comes outside and talk to them about their trees. And we usually get a lot of participation that way. DCNR would like to see official Tree Vitalize tree tender trainings, which we could probably do 1 or 2 a year, maybe 1 a year, more than 4 of those, because those are more lengthy. I don't know,
It's a big
I think
chunk.
tree care workshops should be broken into smaller increments so you don't lose people's interest. You're gonna have a hard time getting people to commit for a whole day, when really they're only interested, you can only keep their interest for like
Right.
an hour or 2 hours, And then I like to get them to do hands-on stuff, like we can start pruning trees, or you could plant a tree, or,
With the trees, do they also give us water bags?
that's one of the things I'm including in the
Okay.
grant application, yeah,
Good, okay,
is the gator bags.
yes.
And then for the seedlings, we're asking for,
The
tubes and stakes.
Okay, good.
And then, for the meadows, I also wanna get educational signs saying like, this is a grow zone, but I don't know, I wanna ask and see if that could be something we could use as our match, or do we need to put funding in to buy those? But we should definitely have some kind of signage for the native meadows, and probably even the tiny forests. That's probably, because people don't know what they are or why they're special.
Yeah, just to explain what they're doing, because I've certainly seen that, the revegetation efforts, they always put up signs.
As far as going door to door, I know that our West Bayfront at some point was collecting data of our West Bayfront residents that wanted trees or were okay with trees being planted in their properties. And I wonder if other
Yeah, they're a
community
partner.
organizations have done that and might already have that information.
Margarita from the Sisters of St. Joseph group has done it some on the east side, and she's willing to help do more of that.
Do more, okay.
But it's only, and then maybe Jeremy from Best, I mean, sometimes Best has done that too, but they request more for trees on, in the right of way in front of the properties they own.
Okay.
But Best is another option for a tiny forest or a meadow too, because they own some of those, they started buying up them small lots themselves. And they bought homes too, so
Hey,
some homes they own and lease out.
Hey, Gary Horton is willing to do that too.
What is his group called, John? Do you know? He has quite a few of them. Which one should I put down?
What's Gary's,
Is he Civitas?
yeah,
or-
Urban Erie Development Corporation.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
Urban Erie.
Urban Erie Development Corporation.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's another good one.
I mean, I
For
would
a partner.
definitely help if you're thinking
Yeah.
of like picking a
Both
day
for
of
tiny,
canvassing.
both for tiny,
What was that, John?
Gary's willing to help in contacting property owners and working with some of the people who are part of his program there, and both for tiny forests, sweet trees, and orchards.
All right.
So when do you need this information though?
Like
who-
tomorrow.
So you need to know who will plant trees on their property by tomorrow.
No, that's something we can identify during the 4 years.
Okay.
I need to know how many hours the Urban Forest Committee thinks they can contribute to helping me to the project. So like if we said, I don't know, 20 hours a year or 30 hours a year or
A
whatever.
person? Or as a committee?
Yeah, or as a committee. I have to break it down by person, but
Well, we already have 12 hours a year essentially in it because we meet once a month for an hour. Are we
that's
able
not
to?
the whole but we're not talking about this project that whole entire time.
Right, but are we able to use some of this time for things outside of being here together? Or do we need to meet here always on the fourth Wednesday of the month?
We're supposed to meet here for this meeting.
Yeah.
If we want to do a project outside of the meeting, we can.
But it has to be a different time or it can be during this time?
I guess
We
we,
probably need to look at different time, just because this is limited.
Right, just get an idea.
Yeah, a good idea to think about streamlining it. But these projects will probably take more than an hour, which is what our meeting usually is.
yeah, I mean, in the past, we've done it at a different time. Like, everybody gets a list of like a couple neighborhood streets that they'll focus on, or even we can do it in groups of two, so you're not alone walking in
Right.
around in the city.
Good idea.
Which would be nice, and we might be able to even get you like badges or something, maybe we have to look into that to see if that we can get badges that say you're on the Urban Forest Committee or something, so that you have something when you're walking around that lets people know you're official.
Yeah, most people want to see some sort of
Yeah,
identification.
that would
Yeah.
be
And
nice.
two
Or
people's-
t-shirts.
Oh, no more t-shirts. Please no. But I think groups of two, and that way it's just more beneficial if you're asked a question, you've got some backup to help you with that. It makes it a little more enjoyable.
Yeah, or we can even all go to one neighborhood and just split up the streets, and you know what I mean, and then whoever's there can do it, and when, however long we can do it, and when we're done, we're done.
So, you've done this in the past. How much time would you think that it would take?
takes a while.
Yeah.
It's time consuming.
Yeah, because you get to talk with people about other things, not just, it's not a quick, hey, do you want a tree? And they say, yeah, and you're gone.
And some people are really excited about it and want a tree, but some people that can, like, they don't want a big giant tree because it's harder to take care of, so you can talk them into a smaller flowering tree. So a lot of it is to just, and I try to ask people like what they like. Do they like watching the birds? Do they like having food? Because some of the trees are edible, or, you know, or do they like the shade, or, you know what I mean? Because we want to plant trees people like. But the main thing is whether or not there's power lines, because if there's power lines, they have to have a short tree. But if there isn't, you want to try to talk them into as big a tree as possible, because we want as many big trees in the city as we can get, because they are the ones that really make a difference. But that's why it's so, even if we identify, I mean, and it could be separate things. I mean, they could agree to a tree, and then I still have to talk with them later about what type of tree they would like. It just depends how much you can get done in one conversation. Or sometimes the wife wants a tree, but she has to wait for the husband to come home, or the husband wants a tree, but he has to wait for his wife, or they're tenants, and then we have to contact the landlord, and you know what I mean? There's all kinds of other things.
So what if just for an average, we said we each put in 2 hours a month? And it doesn't have to be every month 2 hours, just the average out of 2 hours a month?
So it'd be
Would that be
24 hours a
realistic?
person?
2 hours a person a month. So, yeah, 24 hours a person. Does that sound close?
Yeah, I mean, any amount of time is fine with me,
I think that's doable.
because it's 24 hours a person, and then over 4 years,
And there's
or at
so
least
many
3
months.
years, let's say.
Yeah.
Or let's say
Right.
even the first year to help with education and outreach. I don't know, is the
Yeah.
committee comfortable with that amount of time?
I think so.
I think we could
Especially if
probably
it's on our own
exceed
time
it, but
in
I
some
think
way,
that would be a
too.
minimum.
Right.
Right, because we can always do more. Like, I don't want to put in a lot and then we can't meet it. I'd
Right.
rather put in a smaller amount and we do better, and then we're
Right.
like, look how awesome we are. Like,
Yeah. And maybe in the nicer weather months, we get more hours in on a month, and then during January, we don't go anywhere.
right, exactly, because we wouldn't be doing a lot in the winter months, unless we're
Yeah.
preparing pamphlets or working on signs or something, or brochures,
Yeah.
or,
Well,
you
and
know,
putting
whatever.
together the educational information, our talking points, when we're knocking on the door, we need to probably build in some time for that,
Right.
allow for that.
Right, and like in the summer, calling people, we don't have to go door to door. We could just call people or email them to remind them to water their trees once we have their contact information.
Or even having something to leave with them. If they're like, oh, I don't know, like, well, we'll leave you this.
Right.
And it shows, here's all the benefits of trees, and then
Oh, yeah.
you might be
exactly.
able to at least, well, I'll think about it, and then you can just give them something so they have something to think about.
I'm pretty good at talking people into trees.
I'm sure you are.
To take lessons from you.
Those neighborhood groups that you kind of rattled off in the beginning, is that the kind of targeted area for this?
Well, those are partners that we definitely have. DCNR would like us to target disadvantaged communities, or, you know, lower income communities, and that's should be our priority, because people who live in neighborhoods with more resources generally already know to call the city for services. Where people in lower income neighborhoods, they don't always know like who to call, or what's the phone number, or how to look it up, or do they have access to a computer, or, you know what I mean, or they're working during the day, they don't have as much leisure time to try to call offices during office hours. And so the lower income neighborhoods generally do have more dead trees in them, and they don't have as many healthy trees planted. There's a lot of bare spots, so they do need more attention, but they really do require us to go door to door. But sometimes it's more, you have to go door to door on the weekend or in the evening, because if everybody's at work during the day, then they're still not gonna be home, you know?
Well, I have, part of the Master Gardener program, one of the ideas that they had in a program that they've got in other areas of the state is they actually go to the food bank and identify people in that way and talk with them. So that may be something that we could even look at in
Yeah, meeting
identifying
people
some
there.
people. We could talk with them and say, you know, do you mind if we put this in, you know, or have somebody here, because I just received an email from them today. They're going to have a produce drop, which people come through in their car and they're usually sitting in their cars for a little while. So it would be a captive audience if the food bank would be okay with that we could go and chat with them and say, hey, that's at least something to consider.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And those couple of them, like Best and our West Bayfront, like Stephanie and I did a project for Best, and we went to their like neighborhood watch. They have like a monthly neighborhood watch, and so
Yeah, we can also go to
the
those
kind of
types of meetings.
the
too.
active people in the community were already there, and we had an audience of 10 or 20 people, and we can kind of maybe get a group of people at once, telling
Yeah.
them what we're doing and that kind of stuff.
And they can always let their other neighbors know too, who weren't at the meeting.
Right.
Another one would be like churches, to go,
Mm-hmm.
like ask to talk after the service or during it sometime or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like the Martin Luther King Center, that may be part of Best already, but I know that they sometimes have programs. I've been to some of those some time ago.
I think that'd be
Yeah,
part of
there's
our
a-
West Bayfront.
I
There's a
think
lot
so.
of outlets for us to go to. I don't think it would be hard. We
No.
just have to do it.
Yeah, and, yeah. But would be fun.
And I think if we identify some space, some neighborhoods and things too that we want to target ahead of time, and we start divvying those up, then we can do it. If I know on Thursday afternoon, at 3:00 I have an hour, like then I can kind of go out, maybe with someone here or maybe by myself if I feel comfortable, and just kind of do that, or we could find times that we all are available and kind of do it together.
Yeah. Right.
That might make it easier for us to
Yeah,
find
once we
the
go out a
time.
couple of times, then you'll have a better feel for
Right,
it. And
right,
then can
right.
go out.
And again, if we have some literature that we can refer to and know, but also to lead from them, I think that's an excellent idea. Okay.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
We can do this.
All right, then.
So what's the next step?
John, if I revise the letter and put those hours and the amounts in, because there's a state number for how much volunteer hours are, we can just use their number. Do you have the ability to sign it and scan it and send it to me, or should I have Jamie do it as the secretary? Because you're out.
Have Jamie do it. Please have Jamie do it, because
You don't have the ability to scan?
I don't.
Do you have?
Scan it.
All right, do you
I'm
have
on the
an extra
road.
few minutes to go upstairs?
Me? I actually have to leave because I have a class. Sorry. I could pop by tomorrow.
I mean, do you need it? I mean, I have the ability to print it.
Yeah, but
sign
someone
it,
has to
scan
sign it and then scan it in.
Yeah.
Do you want to just do it as a urban forest committee member?
Yeah.
Is the group okay with Patty signing the letter?
Sure.
I mean, I can sign
Absolutely.
John's name on behalf of him or something.
Yeah, you can sign John's name or your name, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter, because you're a member too. It doesn't necessarily have to be the chair.
Yeah. If he doesn't have the ability and we need it, yeah, we can.
All right, perfect. Then I got 24 hours a person and there's 7 of you, so whatever that works out to. And then
Let's do some math.
we'll say we're doing
168 hours.
68 or 60?
168. Said 24 hours a person
Yeah, times 7.
times 7. 168.
All right. Yeah, and I just have to look up the state rate for volunteers. But I think it's pretty high. It's like 20-some dollars an hour.
Yeah, like 23
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, so it adds up. And then I'll put in, you're helping with identifying like property owners and sites and helping with the education and outreach and handouts. Okay. And then that's that. And then I think that just a letter of commitment is good, because obviously you're committed, you support the project. So, and I think we can put it on city letterhead because you're a city committee, so we'll just do that.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good.
So I can either give you a piece of city letterhead, and once it's final, you can print it and then sign that, or, I don't know if you have time to do it after the meeting. We could just
Yeah.
try to do it real quick after the
Yeah,
meeting.
that's fine.
We just have to look up the state rate for volunteers.
Okay. Yeah, if you've got time now, that's great, whatever works for you.
All right. I'll email Abby while we're finishing up the meeting, because she might be able to look it up for us.
So next meeting, should we talk about creating the educational materials and finding the areas, or do we have to wait to see if we're accepted?
I don't think so, because we need to be doing that anyway.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
I think we can
I-
start talking about it whatever we want, because, yeah, I mean, it's something we should be doing anyway.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how the rest of the committee feels, but that's how I feel about it.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry, I have to leave.
Thank you.
Alright. And then I don't know if anybody else has anything they need to talk about.
John?
No, I don't have
Well-
anything else.
Well, the other thing that I have, John, you've wanted to talk about in the past is this community tree plan. And I made all these handouts about it, so I don't know if you guys wanted, I can give you a handout to look over for the next meeting, but at these meetings, we're supposed to be going over these things. But they're in black and white, 'cause I didn't print them in color.
No.
Yeah, those would be good to look over and
But I don't
then
know.
discuss at the next meeting.
everybody had one. I know John sent them to you,
And I've actually got it,
so you have it.
yeah, I do,
And so.
yeah, because I,
Yeah, you guys can start looking them over, because in
Okay.
color, you know, it just looks like this, it's just green instead of gray, but whatever. And then we also have these two booklets that came for those of us who saw that webinar, that training. So I don't know if you guys wanna look through them, and there's this too. Or if you wanna borrow them or bring them back, I just only have one copy of those. But they're interesting, and so, yeah, if you wanna start looking these over, because we haven't, so, you know, at one of the meetings, I just suggested, well, instead of everybody gets so busy once they leave, I mean, we're just gonna have to start going through it one by one during meetings, so like set aside 20 minutes of each meeting and just start doing it or something. So, but at least you can, if you do have time, you can look it over ahead of time. John, did you wanna add anything to that?
Only that I like the idea of sitting down with the new city planner and talking through this and getting that assistance from them in this, and making sure that it's integrated with, you know, their other planning projects.
I'm not sure we got all that. Did you guys get what he said? Could you repeat that, John?
I said I'm excited about the idea of sitting down with the city planner and coordinating our plan with all their other planning projects, and making sure that, you know, that they're aware of what we want to achieve, and they can integrate that into their planning overall.
Yes, I agree. That's nice that he's in support of that.
Yep.
Because we do need to start getting involved in more of what these other committees are doing, to give our 2 cents about the trees and plants and the green spaces and everything else that we care about.
Right. This integrates with the push to create an environmental advisory council, with the new stormwater program. It's, you know, it's all tied together, and I really like the idea that the planning department will work with us to help develop our plan.
Yeah, and Mr. Forrest is also very supportive of this grant. He's really excited about the native meadows, and he seems like he's really excited about the tiny forest project too. And I agree with you. I don't know if you said it in the past, John, or who said it, but there's also the option to do like a whole boulevard in a meadow instead of grass, and then they wouldn't have to mow it, and that would be really cool. If it was mostly wildflowers, like that would be awesome. So I think in the next 4 years, that's gonna be one of my goals, to try to convince Public Works to doing a boulevard.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, that's what I think we should do, just talk them into a small section somewhere. Because like Fairmont Parkway, we planted like, I don't even know, 50 trees in that boulevard. And they hate mowing around them because they're small baby trees. And it'd be nice, I mean, if it was all just wildflowers and stuff, meadow grasses instead of grass, that would be awesome. And it would look really cool.
And it would save them money.
Yeah. So, and maybe it would help slow traffic because the flowers would be so beautiful. People would have to slow down and go, "Ooh, what's that? Look how pretty that is. There's a butterfly." Yeah, so I mean, you know, obviously it'll take some discussions and stuff, and we'll have to see what we can do, but Public Works does like butterflies, so that's a good
Yeah.
sign.
But I think it's one of the things that we've all mentioned, that we want to be involved in those processes and those discussions. And so I think it's just time that we started being a part of that, if we know how. And,
Well, I think passing our vision statement's good for step, because we have to figure out what we want to do before we start doing stuff.
Yes, yes, exactly, and that way, we've got our mission statement, we've got our vision statement, we sort of have an idea of where we want to end up, and then all the steps that we want to take to get there. But we do need to be involved in those conversations as much as possible. And you can't always be the person, so I think that we as a committee can take turns that, you know, if Armando wants to be on a particular committee, or he's the representative of this committee to a different committee, I think that that's where we sort of need to go.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And the planning commission might be another one we want to reach out to, since they're dealing with land use and stuff.
Yeah,
And also the, you know, when Jenny Tompkins was here, helping to form the EAC, the Environmental Advisory Council, that's another
Yes.
committee that we could work with if that gets off the ground.
yeah,
Need to go catch a bus.
yes, absolutely,
All right, well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, John,
Good
for
meeting.
joining
Very
us
productive.
via Zoom.
yeah, okay. So,
Thank you. It's only a little bit painful.
All right, bye-bye, John.
bye.
Bye.